Hello, this is Kevin Benedict, SMAC Analyst with Cognizant. SMAC's the acronym for Social, Mobile, Analytics, and Cloud. I have the privilege of spending time here in beautiful Sydney, Australia this week with Damien Moriarty, who's with Retriever Communications. Thanks for joining us today, Damien.
No, pleasure.
So you are the International Delivery Manager for Retriever Communications. What does that mean?
It's a combination of product specialists, also working with our channel partners in channel partner enablement, learning our solutions and delivering Retriever solutions.
Okay, so what are those solutions?
So Retriever has been delivering wireless extensions for 16 years. The solutions span mobile applications and field scheduling.
Okay, and so you guys have been here for 16 years. That was a long time ago.
Yes.
Tell me about how you guys started. What were you working on? What kind of mobile apps were you working on 16 years ago?
So we started out with the Apple Newton.
I don't think I've ever spoken to a company that started out on an Apple Newton. Awesome.
Oh yes, well it was almost awesome. You know, the challenge obviously followed when Steve Jobs, on his return to Apple, cancelled the Apple Newton.
That must have been a bad day.
Certainly was. So, you know, really we learned very early in the piece that the mobile applications need to span multiple hardware, multiple devices. You know, we saw very early on the dynamic nature of really mobile platforms. So through that we saw device independence as being key to the solutions that we deliver.
So what did you guys do to make yourself device independent?
We moved to a mobile application development platform.
Okay.
That combined with a runtime environment gives us the ability to build an application and then run it on these multiple platforms. So you've got a single installer delivered straight out of the application development environment to go into any of these device platforms.
Build once, deploy to all the platforms.
Build once, run always.
Okay, so talk to me about that. That must have some advantages.
The advantages is you see the device independence that comes from, you know, obviously having that runtime environment, but by running in a compiled form, you see essentially native application performance.
Okay.
So the user experience is very strong, very clean. As a native application, you haven't got the lag time in rendering and compiling screens, but at the same time we offer that full device independence.
Got it. So help me paint a picture for the listeners out there today. You know, there's kind of one group of people out there that'll say they want everything open so that there's no vendor lock-in. You know, that's kind of their thing. So they like HTML5, they like a lot of free stuff, they like open standards and all that kind of stuff because it maximizes flexibility, which sounds good, but what's the downside?
The downside can be limitations to really having access to the hardware. For example, using the camera, the GPS unit on the device, and the user experience in the rendering, the lag time of the application. I think many of us have seen the difference in running an application that is multi-platform, using something that's been compiled on the fly, compared to an application that's been truly written for that platform. So it really does come down to the user experience. Okay,
so you are saying that the user experience is better in an IDE world, in your world?
We see a user experience is better in the native world. So there's that conundrum of device independence and standardization, or using the off-the-shelf development or the common development toolkits. Often you're either looking at something like HTML5 to run across those different platforms, or you're looking at developing index code or in Java or in Visual Studio, which you then find yourself locked into a single platform.
So let's talk about platform. What are the components of Retriever Communications platform?
We have a mobile runtime environment. We have our development toolkit and the Retriever server. Our server infrastructure really underpins the reliability, the industrial grade nature of our solutions.
Talk to me about that term, because we were using it earlier too, industrial grade. What does that mean to you guys?
Industrial grade is reliability of the solution, putting in a project that you need to be a success. We do see, using Gartner's terminology, we do see mobile solutions as often being systems of differentiation. How organisations are offering their distinct services and differentiating from their competitors to their customer base. So we see the reliability of the data transmission being key. It's surprising that you need to say that, but we saw the need of contractually guaranteeing no data loss. We also really acknowledge the fact that IT solutions can have their issues. So what happens when something goes wrong? You've got a mobile field worker out, often isolated, in the field, working, something goes wrong. So we see field recovery in minutes as being key to productivity and delivering your service. We also see the end user acceptance, having an application that you have a strong user uptake and achieve a high level of compliance as being key in implementing that strategy. So it's industrial grade from a reliability perspective, but also industrial grade in truly underpinning what your strategies are.
I can relate to everything you're saying because I grew up focused in the same market that you are. I think you're probably targeting mission critical field service kind of environments.
Yes.
And that where everything there is specific to your industry or your business a lot of times. You're out there and it needs to happen because you may have 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people in the field, and that needs to be, everything needs to be working.
Yes.
And you do things in unique ways which differentiate yourself, which is why you need to have that solid and locked in and defined and customized. It's not something you can just grab off iTunes.
That's certainly true. Because you are differentiating and because you do have your distinct field process flows.
Right.
You need that to match those field process flows. You need the application to match the field process flows in order to achieve that level of user acceptance. You've got guys that you've trained well to do a certain job function, and you don't want them having to shift that function to match an application that they feel they've had lumped on them.
So a lot of the vendors out there, enterprise mobility vendors or just any mobility vendors, they are kind of riding the fence between industrial grade and B2C even. You know, they can push anything out to a mobile app and it's pretty, and people like it. What is the difference between that environment and industrial grade, in your opinion?
Well, really, there's aspects of mobile design that come into that. The B2C market, for example, you look at B2C applications, they've really come out of that web world where you need to create an engaging user experience and you need to attract the user's attention with shiny pictures, moving objects, and so on to keep the user's focus on the web page or that application. The difference in usability for an industrial grade application is you have an engaged user. You don't need to attract their attention. But at the same time, you need to provide a very simple to use user interface, very easy finger touch style user interface to minimize the impact that has on their working day. A term that we actually, it's not ours, but we've used quite a bit, is the one eye, one thumb concept. You've got a guy in the field doing something, the application should be usable, one eye, one thumb, pick up the device, fill something in, keep going with what you're really there to do, what's making you money.
Very good. So industrial grade, your target market is what?
Our target market traditionally is field service. We do also work in field inspection and logistics. So by field service, that spans out to really any sort of field maintenance service, but also moves into things such as your oil and gas and utility space as well.
Okay.
Really any organisation that has field workers that are going outside of the four walls, going mobile, going out to site, working away from the base.
Got it. So talk to us about your company. You have this is your opportunity to introduce yourself to the world. So tell us about your retriever communication.
So, having been founded 16 years ago, we do have a long history in mobile. That history has come, you could pick from the accent, obviously we're Australian, being interviewed here in Sydney too. That's come in a country roughly the size of the US with only a population of 20 million people.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of empty space.
A lot of empty space.
A lot of kangaroos. Rabbits.
And on many occasions, not a lot of mobile coverage.
That's right.
So the ability to work offline is something that, working offline for hours is really something that's been core from the start. And through that, I think mobility is one of those examples of technology that has almost evolved faster outside of the US than inside the US. And I think Australia has been very much the forefront of that because of the challenges faced by our geography, so spread out. It's only been in recent times that we've seen the mobile technology and mobile coverage really catch up to the rest of the world from a mobile data perspective. So we've come out of that truly rugged, rough, remote environment, and that really underpins the industrial grade aspect of our solution.
Very good. So you have offices in the U.S. and where's your kind of U.S. headquarters?
So we're based in Sydney, but we also have offices in Houston. We also have offices in Milan as well.
Very good. Okay. Well, I want to thank you so much for introducing yourself and just sharing your knowledge with all of us.
Thank you.